Hello guys, and welcome to another video. We're going to be talking about game streaming services and a good bit about Geforce Now. So I just put a video out on Geforce Now a couple days ago, and it did well. It was one of my best videos for this new channel, which was really cool. And I've also noticed just a ton more videos have hit YouTube. There's a lot more articles on Google. The whole Activision Blizzard pulling their games from Geforce Now, and I know there's other games missing too from EA and others, causing quite a big dust up and causing a lot of people to pay attention to it. I understand those games have been in the Geforce Now service for a long time, and then as soon as Geforce Now comes out of beta, Activision and Blizzard and others have pulled their games out of there. So, and as I was talking about in my other video, there's not a real good reason to do this. People are talking about business models and profitability, and they want a piece of the pie and all of this, and that's probably about all that's going on, which still just, it's greed. It makes no sense. The service Geforce Now offers does not allow you to play games for free. You have to still buy these games from the publishers anyway. If you wanted to play Call of Duty Modern Warfare and you wanted to play that through Geforce Now with RTX and all that, you still had to go on battle.net, buy Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and then go on to Geforce Now, log in and play the game. If you want to buy Battle Pass while you're playing it, if you want to spend real money in the game or any of the other games, I know there's a ton of games that got pulled. You could have done that. You could have spent money in there. Why would you not want your customers to be on your game as much as possible, spending money inside the game? The only reason I can think is it's a horrible reason. It would be the same thing that's happened to our TV since cord cutting, where it was supposed to be this super cheap option. And then what has happened is every company wants to go and break out and make their own streaming service, and they want you to pay $5 to $15 a month for it. And before you know it, you're back up to $100, $150 a month to get all the different channels, shows, and so forth. If the gaming companies are going to go that same route and do that same thing, it's going to fragment the gaming community. It's going to break games apart. If Activision and EA and BioWare, if just everybody said, oh, you know what? If you want to play our games, you have to come buy them on our platform. And if you want to stream those or play them portably, you have to subscribe to our platform also. The service Geforce Now was offering, in my opinion, was the best approach to stream and cloud gaming so far. And that's why I have a bunch of all this, a couple different streaming services pulled up so we can kind of just take a look while we're talking. I'm doing a lot of work, a lot of testing in Geforce Now. I'm doing a lot of PC version, playing locally versus streaming, and those videos are going to be coming out over the next week or so. I didn't use Geforce Now in beta, but I signed up immediately when it came out for the 90 days free, the $5 a month founders. And Call of Duty was running awesome. I was playing Modern Warfare on there. It was great. I was playing it on a horrible laptop that can play literally no game, and it was pretty awesome. It's just a real punch coming from Activision and Blizzard and others doing that kind of thing. I just think it's ridiculous, and really what it comes down to is everybody wanting a piece of that streaming pie. They probably want a piece of that $5 a month Geforce Now is going to charge to have the game on there when there's no need for that. You went and you bought the game. You've spent money for the Battle Pass. You're spending money in the game. You should be able to come play that game when you want to play that game. You shouldn't have to worry about if, oh, now NVIDIA's got to try to pay Activision or pay some other publisher or developer money to have your game on there. It doesn't make any sense, and it's a horrible business model. If they think they're going to make more money by breaking apart, they're wrong. This is where, and I am no fanboy, but I love Xbox. I have since the original OG Xbox. I've also had all the PlayStations except for 4. And it's where Xbox seems to get it. They're not worried about hardware sales. They're not worried about other things with their platform Xcloud that's coming. They want gamers on games, period, as much as possible. They just revamped their Game Quest, their Game Pass Quest, to go from monthly only to now, if you go on Xbox Game Pass, you've got monthly, weekly, and daily Game Pass quest. I'm trying to get a video out on that too, kind of highlighting everything. They've changed the way the achievements pop up. It's pretty cool. If I feel like Microsoft and Xbox are doing a lot to just get gamers on the games more. Having their exclusives on PC and Xbox, I have heard the argument of, well, people will buy your consoles less if they can just download your exclusive on PC. It's not the consoles that make the money. It's not the consoles that are going to be making the mark. It's how many copies of that game can you sell? How many people can you get playing that game? Are there real-world transactions in that game? If there are, you can make so much more money inside of each game than you could ever make on a console. But it's great to also have that option to have a console. People like me, we want to have all the consoles, and we want to have our PC, and we want to stream games, and we want to do it all. Some people don't, so it's great to have an option. Now, Sony was way behind, in my opinion, on the cloud gaming also. Let's jump over here to PlayStation Now. So I've been checking this out also. I wasn't a big fan of PlayStation Now. I'm still not really, but I do know they've been in talks with Microsoft to use their Azure Cloud, their system, and I believe they're going to be launching either updating this app or launching a new app to handle their streaming, and I believe it's going to be very similar to Game Pass. You're probably going to be able to play all their exclusives on PC or PS5. And all kinds of other third-party games that they have and stuff, just like Xbox. I think Sony sees how popular that is, how good it is for profitability, for getting players into the games. And yes, it's great to sell over 100 million consoles, but it's also great to get even more people playing your games. So PlayStation Now, I have been playing it. It unfortunately right now is very dated. This is the UI. You can use a controller or a mouse to control through here. It's a very dated UI. It's not great. I have played Horizon Zero Dawn a bit. Everything runs at 720p, 30 frames a second, making almost all these games for me, for what I'm used to doing, unplayable for me on like a 1440p screen or something else. But the service works, and it works great. If I go in here, I want to click on here, and I click start, we'll immediately be able to go right into the game and start playing. 720p, 30 frames a second. I have zero issues with this service working, but they need to redesign it. They need to overhaul it, and they need to get to 1080p 60 at a minimum. Everybody needs to get up to that 4K, the 1440p over the next year or two, and really be able to offer that 4K 60 experience when possible. But I do know PlayStation's on their way there, and I have a hunch that by the time PS5 comes out, or within a year of that, PlayStation Now will actually be very similar to a Game Pass service, and that you're going to be able to play Sony exclusives on your PC if you don't have a PlayStation, and that will bring way more players to their games than just selling more consoles ever will. So PlayStation Now, it's cool. It works great. I'm not going to keep the service going at $10 a month. It's too dated, and it's not good enough yet. But if they get there, and if they get to 1080p 60 and above, and the games are working good, and you can play the exclusives, I would probably subscribe for that and not worry about getting the next PlayStation console unless I want it for the channel for comparing games. But if I could play those exclusives on my PC, especially if I could download them and play them natively with higher settings maybe, and also play them streamed, if I wanted to do that on just about any device, that would be really cool. So there's a lot going on with cloud gaming and streaming gaming and everything right now. Jumping back over here and looking at Stadia again. Stadia is not a service. Stadia is a platform. Stadia is closer to a console launch, a virtual console, if you will, more than it is a service. Stadia, you have to buy in. So at $130, you're going to get the controller, 3 months of Premier Edition, and that gets you the 4K gaming and all that you got to spend $10 a month for. And it gets you Destiny 2, which I can play Destiny 2 on Geforce Now right now through my Steam, and it works great. From what I'm hearing about Stadia, most people say it works. The technology is there, and it actually does work well. I've seen a ton of YouTube videos where they're showing 4K, 60 frames a second gameplay that looks great, but there are issues. The people who bought into this already in the beginning, even though they're not calling it a beta, they bought into a beta. The first year of Stadia is a beta. It's going to get better. I don't think they're going to just drop it. Gaming is too big of an industry. It's growing too fast. But Stadia and Geforce Now, PlayStation Now, Xcloud, which is going to be coming this year too, I do believe. By the time the next console launches, we should have, everybody should then be able to get Xcloud. Stadia is more closer to a console. You've got to buy the games, play the games. You only own them on there. Right now, the player base is really small. I think Stadia has potential, but it's got a ways to go. It's a lot like a company launching a new console with no exclusives, charging you money, and expecting a bunch of people to buy it, when that's just not going to happen yet. Not yet. They're competing in a very large space to come out and be basically a virtual console where you have to rebuy your games. It doesn't work on as many devices as they said yet. You can't get in for free yet. So it's a totally different thing. It's got its place and it has its potential. Right now, it's in beta, in my opinion. Xcloud, I'm glad Microsoft didn't launch this last year as a full service to everyone, play 50 games plus. They launched it as a beta. And if you have an Android device, you can get in on that and you can play a lot of games. Now, Xbox has exclusives. They're a platform already. They've been around. They're developing this to not only bolster their own player base, but to bolster the player base for lots of third-party games. I think Xcloud is going to work great when it comes out. I'm really looking forward to it. I would love to have Xcloud, PlayStation Now revamped. I'd like to see Geforce Now just getting a ton more games, even though Activision and Blizzard are really doing the wrong thing, pulling their games out of there once they left beta. So, you know, if you have an Android device and you want to, you can go in here and register, and you can still get on Xcloud Preview until it launches in its full version. But I'm definitely looking forward to this. I've seen a lot of videos of games working on this, people playing Gears and Halo and stuff, and it looks great. I'm a big fan of what's coming for streaming gaming. It's not there yet. I think we're a few years away from it being a mainstream thing, but we're getting there. Companies are figuring it out. I really like the idea of Xcloud because that's going to tie into Game Pass, and if PlayStation does a similar thing with PlayStation Now and a streaming service and exclusives, if all of a sudden I could pay Sony $10 or $15 a month like I do Xbox, and I can play all their exclusives, and I can stream or download or play on console, boom, that would be excellent, and I would play a lot more PlayStation games than I do now, and I think a lot of people would. Which brings me back to get your games out there for players to play. Don't pull your games from a service after it launches so that players can't play them anymore. I know everybody has their reasons, but for the most part, in my opinion, when it comes to gaming, you just need more players playing your game. And as long as they purchase that game from you somewhere on your launcher or some store or whatever, it's legit. It's their game to go play. I like what Geforce Now is doing. I think they still have one of the best services, but the only handicap is other companies, the owners of these games, control whether or not they're going to be on here. NVIDIA doesn't get to control that. And I think what's happening is the greedier companies like Activision want a piece of this pie. They want some of Geforce Now's money if they want Activision's games back on the platform. And that makes zero sense. It just makes zero sense. You don't need to do that. You've already charged people for the game. You've got real-world currency in most of your games that you can spend. You've got battle passes. You've got all kinds of things. You've got people out there that would love to be playing Modern Warfare or any other game like that on their phone or on their crappy laptop or on their horrible tablet that won't run a game. You could get players that are not playing your game that will go to battle.net, buy Call of Duty for $60. They'll go launch Geforce Now on their phone. They'll go into Call of Duty, start playing, they'll buy your battle pass, they'll buy other things you have, and they're going to think it's great. But instead of doing that, we pull the games, and we won't have them on here anymore. Anyway, I think cloud gaming, I think streaming gaming is going to become mainstream. We're a ways away. I'm very concerned about companies doing this kind of thing. If we become like TV became over the past 2 or 3 years, where it went from, oh, great, we can stream it all in one place, we can do this, to every company wants to charge you $5 to $15, and every company wants you to come there to watch their content. It's just not going to happen. Not going to happen at all. You can't fragment that much. And if we get to the point of gaming where that's what's happening and basically every publisher is wanting to have their own service and you got to go to them, it's just going to start limiting what people play. It's just going to start limiting where people go, what kind of games they play, and it's going to start closing doors to a lot of gamers. And it's already done it to me with TV. There's already a lot of stuff I just skip on and I don't watch. because I'm not going to go pay 30 subscriptions or whatever every month. It's not going to happen. And if that happens to gaming, it's the same thing. When gaming is not TV and you own this content, when you buy it, it's different. It's different than just watching something or renting something. When you buy a game and you've spent money with someone like Activision, and then a service like Geforce Now says, hey, we're not going to charge you anything. We're not going to, we don't want anything. Just the okay to let your player that bought the game and wants to spend more money in your game access that a different way. They're basically renting you a PC, a desktop PC capable of running the game because your computer can't, wherever or whatever's going on. Geforce Now is a great service. It's going to do well. It's going to grow. I'm testing a lot of games in here. It's going to be really fun. I'm having a lot of fun with it because it's just tying to all my other games. This is another thing I don't know if people know. Hopefully Uplay does not pull out next, or Ubisoft. If you subscribe to Uplay Plus, $15 a month, which gives you access to almost every single game on that launcher, you can play them in Geforce Now. You do not have to buy those games. That's why I would love to see Origin get added. I know a lot of people hate it. I would love to see Origin get added. I would love to see something with Xbox get added, but it's not going to. I think PlayStation and Xbox are going to stay on their own. But when it comes to the PC stuff, I would love to see Origin get added, because if that $15 a month subscription now all of a sudden opens up my library to hundreds or thousands of games on Geforce Now that I can play anywhere, that is awesome. I do not own Origins or Odyssey or Ghost Recon Breakpoint, but I can play them on Geforce Now on any device just about that I have, because I pay Ubisoft $15 a month for Uplay Plus. And any game that's on Geforce Now that's on that launcher, I can play. That's really cool, and I don't know if a lot of people know that or not. If you don't own the games on Uplay, that's fine. If you have Uplay Plus, you don't have to buy the game. So that is really cool, and I'd like to see more of that. So thanks a lot for coming and checking out the video. I really appreciate it. I hope it didn't go on too long. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on with streaming gaming and cloud gaming and what my thoughts are. So if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button if you like the channel. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and feel free to leave your comment below letting me know what you think about the state of cloud gaming and streaming gaming. And do you think it's going to go the way of TV, where every company is going to have their own pay service and fragment gaming, or do you think that something good like Geforce Now can do it for us? All right, guys, thanks a lot for checking out the video. Have a good one, and I'll catch you next time.